Wow. The past 10 hours, globally
Yeah.
speaking, it's just been a whirlwind, hasn't it?
It really has a lot happening.
Yeah, escalating trade tensions, some really surprising diplomatic moves. It's honestly a lot to wrap your head around.
Definitely.
So our mission today really is to try and cut through all that noise.
Yeah.
We want to pull out the important bits, the key insights from everything that's happened as of, July 13th, 2025.
That's the plan. Connect the dots for you between these new tariff threats, how the world's reacting, and, how diplomacy and even domestic policy are getting tangled up in all this.
Right. Understand what actually matters.
Exactly. The ripple effects, the deeper stuff.
Okay, let's dive right in then. The new tariff front lines, as we're calling it.
Okay.
President Trump threatening that sweeping 30% tariff on EU imports. That's huge. $21 billion in goods starting August 1st.
It's a very bold move, and the EU's response is, well, it's interesting. They've extended the suspension of their own retaliatory tariffs for another month.
Just kicking the can down the road. Or is there more to it?
I think there's more. It's like they're trying to de-escalate, keep talks alive, but without looking weak, They're also clearly signaling, look, if talks collapse, we are ready to hit back.
So a high-stakes game of chicken, basically.
Pretty much testing if economic pressure can actually rewrite these big alliances without totally breaking them.
And it's not just Europe. At the same time, Trump announces 30% tariffs on Mexico. The justification given is drug smuggling concerns.
Yeah, and that's where it gets really complicated, linking trade directly to security like that.
How did that change things for Mexico? President Sheinbaum sounded pretty strong in her response.
She did. Strong condemnation, reaffirming national sovereignty. It highlights a key risk. Politicizing trade this way makes negotiation much, much harder. It's not just about money anymore. It's like national dignity.
A dangerous precedent.
Potentially, yeah. Destabilizing for future relationships. And we shouldn't forget the 35% tariffs mentioned for Canada, too. It's broadening out.
Okay, and then there's South Africa, also facing a potential 30% tariff threat unless they make policy changes.
Yeah.
And kind of related, U.S. Treasury Secretary Bessent skipped the G20 meeting in South Africa.
Right, to attend the Osaka Expo instead. That's a pretty loud diplomatic signal, isn't it?
What does it tell us? Bypassing a G20 meeting seems significant?
It suggests, I think, a preference for bilateral deals, or maybe focusing on specific alliances over these big multilateral forums. It feels very transactional.
Like play ball our way or you're on the outside.
Kind of. Diplomatic presence tied directly to policy alignment, comply, or face pressure, maybe even isolation.
So how are countries and the markets digesting all these threats? Brussels, Mexico City? They're planning countermeasures.
They are. Both are mapping out potential retaliation against U.S. goods. That unified stance is important. It shows resolve.
Okay, but what about the markets? Are they panicking?
It's weirdly mixed. A real paradox. You look at the Gulf markets, Saudi, Qatari indices, they're pretty subdued.
Yeah.
Cautious, they're clearly waiting, maybe a bit apprehensive. But then, AI and tech stocks. Still buoyant, surprisingly resilient somehow. Yet gold and bonds, the usual safe havens, they do reflect that apprehension around global slowdown people are talking about.
Oh, that is a mixed picture. So are markets just getting used to this? Is this the desensitization analysts mentioned?
That's the big question, isn't it? Analysts do suggest markets are getting desensitized, yeah. Almost treating these threats like political noise, mainly for a domestic audience, not immediate economic doom.
But is that safe? To just shrug it off?
Well, that's the danger. This perceived calm might not be real resilience. It could be, a bit of denial. If there is a real trade escalation, it could still spark serious volatility, especially across Europe and Asia, where economies are so tightly linked.
Right. So it's clearly not just about trade figures. How does all this economic pressure connect to, say, diplomacy? Or even shifts happening back home in the U.S.?
They connect quite directly, actually. Think about NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte. He's due in Washington this week to meet President Trump. That meeting isn't just routine now. Amidst all this economic friction, it's suddenly critical for reaffirming U.S.-European military coordination, especially on things like weapons for Ukraine. It's a real test. Can security ties hold up under this much economic strain?
I see. And then domestically in the U.S., we saw news about expanded powers for ICE agents, using force, citing protests at cannabis farms. How does that fit in?
It might seem separate, but I think it connects to that broader theme. Granting expanded force to ICE, well framed as immigration enforcement, aligns with the sort of America First approach that also seems to underpin the tariff strategy.
How so?
It's about asserting national sovereignty and control both at the border and in economic policy. It just adds another layer, another dimension to this administration's way of reasserting its power, both domestically and on the world stage.
So bringing it all together, from these big global economic threats and key diplomatic meetings to these shifts in domestic enforcement, it really paints a complex picture. Everything feels interconnected.
It really does. It's like watching puzzle pieces fall into place, maybe forming a picture we haven't quite seen before.
Which leaves us with a final thought, maybe something for you, our listeners, to chew on.
Yeah. How do all these actions, which seem kind of disparate on the surface, trade tariffs here, expanded domestic powers there, how do they signal a bigger shift, maybe a reordering of global power dynamics, or even changing priorities?
What does it mean for international cooperation down the road?
Exactly. And what else might be worth watching on this, well, very active global chessboard? Lots to think about.